quorum. We'll have a quorum.
Yeah, Articles 8 and 7, and the setbacks, I guess, on those sides.
Hello. Good evening.
Hi, how are you?
Travis let you know he is coming.
I did not hear from him.
He's got a school board meeting. They moved it tonight instead of Monday. And it's at 5, and usually they're 45 minutes long. So, he is coming.
All right, very good.
From 1 to the next.
Thanks, Julie.
And you got our agendas and everything, I
I did, thank you.
need more, or are you good?
I think they're sufficient.
Okay.
Thank you. Yeah, there's minutes there and agendas.
Thank you.
Well, it is 6 o'clock, so welcome, welcome everybody. We'll call this meeting to order. And so welcome guests and visitors. We have Gabby who records for Banks Citizens United for Zoning. You can find that on YouTube. And we have our recording secretary, Cindy Bushman. We have Ruben Shell, who's our planning consultant, and then of course Kurt is our zoning administrator. So, we'll start with the minutes from July 8th, from our July 8th meeting, regular minutes. If you would review those, if you have time to review those, if you would like to make any edits or corrections, now would be the time for that.
I move the adoption of the minutes as presented.
Okay, do you have a second?
I'll support.
Support by Dave, all in favor?
Aye.
All right, motion, or minutes, accepted, passed. All right, and then now on to announcements and correspondence, and Cindy, you didn't have anything other than,
Yeah, just a couple of emails from Doug Sini about the zoning board of appeals meeting, and I'll sign in the minutes and the findings of fact, and he gathered again to close off the meeting.
okay, okay, wonderful. I do have some correspondence. I have a letter that I will read. The rule is we all have the same information. I'll be working from the same information. And I have a letter, and this is written by Dave and Donna Harris. Dear Commissioners, thank you for your willingness to serve the Township as Planning Commissioner. It's a challenging task, and sometimes the decisions are difficult. We were recently contacted by the zoning administrator, Curtis Bushman, regarding a slanderous statement made during a Township board meeting that as former clerk, Donna was given special consideration and a permit for a duplex housing unit. To clarify, your zoning administrator did not issue this permit, nor was he asked to issue an illegal permit. In August of 2021, Dave purchased an eyesore of a home on Rushton Road. We'd like to present facts related to this dwelling and its history to you at our September 9th Planning Commission meeting, so our next meeting. We would like to discuss possible zoning ordinance amendments to resolve this zoning violation. We would appreciate having a conversation with the Planning Commission as opposed to just speaking during public comment portion of your meeting. Please confirm receipt of this letter and availability on the agenda for September 9th meeting. So that is from Dave and Donna Harrison. I did get this yesterday as a matter of record. So so you would like to be on the agenda as new business, is that correct?
That is correct,
Okay,
yeah, and if there is going to be a citation, maybe we can wait till after that, present our facts.
okay. Okay, any other correspondence or announcements? No. Okay, and now it's time for public comment. So we would take 3 minutes worth of public comment from anyone who would like to speak up at this time.
thank the board again for their service and their work, and thank give you a opportunity to see a proposal that's put together by Michigan Aggregates Association that protects the township in many ways, and also provides the community with resources and provides those landowners with the opportunity to extract those resources. And so as you take a look at any drafts, I would ask that you take a look at the provisions in this one and include it in your thoughts.
Okay. Thank you.
Is this being practiced in any township, Mark?
This is actually a Senate, it says right on it, Senate Bill 431 that they brought before the Michigan Senate, and it has taken that and modified it to fit Banks Township. So to answer your question, there's no other one that's, you know, doing that exactly the same, but there are townships with very similar ones.
I would
just-
comment, this is the same thing that I
Okay.
gave to everybody last meeting.
I don't think there was any differences in
I don't think there's anything different, nothing's been changed on this one.
No.
Okay.
Okay, thank you. For standing report, zoning board of
I
appeals.
think there's more public comment.
Oh, excuse me, yes.
Sure, yes, all right, Paul McCann, Ellsworth. Just your request to promote transparency and public participation. I respectfully request that all materials provided to planning commission members, such as agendas, reports, and supporting documents, also be made known to the public at the same time, either online or at the township hall. This simple step ensures everyone has equal access to the information and shapes our communities that shape our community's decisions. Thank you for considering that.
Any other public comments?
The, not to take away from that, but the text blast that you get, or are available to all our citizens, you can participate in the text blast that reminds everyone of this meeting, actually had the agenda attached to it. Correctly?
Just the simple agenda that's posted on the website right
Yeah,
now?
yeah.
Okay, no, I was thinking more of the actual documents that, for open meetings, that everybody can review before
Okay.
the meeting. just so
I
we
thought
know
you meant
what
the
we're-
agenda, sorry.
Well, kind of.
Yeah.
Yeah, thank you.
I did have something.
Yes, Julie?
I would suggest that maybe the planning commission consider adopting a public comment policy like the township board has, because that's really the only legal way you can limit 3 minutes, and you probably want to do that, so. The
Okay.
township has one, but it just says township board, and it's a public comment policy that is not reviewed or looked at even by members of our board. So I think the planning commission could adopt something to limit that 3 minutes, because the only way you can limit it by law is a policy.
Okay, so I'm understanding you to say we currently do not have such a policy.
The planning commission does not.
Okay. Okay, thank you. Any other public comments at this time? All right, moving on. Next on our agenda is the zoning board of appeals, and I have nothing to add to that except that they will be meeting August 22nd, Friday, August 22nd at 6 p.m. and that will be posted. This meeting was called by Doug Sini, and I don't know what's anything that's on the agenda for that. I will find out though.
When was that date?
Pardon me?
What was the date?
Friday, August 22nd, 6 p.m. And Dave, I believe you were in the email loop? Yes or no?
I don't,
Okay,
and maybe because I'm not on the ZBA anymore.
okay. I will check with, I'll check with Alex to see where he's at with finding your
Okay.
replacement, if you want to be replacing
Okay.
him.
Well, I don't think it's a matter of wanting or needing it. I don't think they can sit on both boards.
Okay. Very good.
I'd be happy to do both, but I don't know that I can.
Okay, I'll clarify that. All right, zoning administrator Curtis.
Had a few building permits processed, or in process right now. I think probably 4 or 5 since our last meeting. We're up to 19 now, which is behind last year, but, so those are in the works. Had a couple of land divisions get processed through. It's not really a zoning thing, but just so you know, that's going on. And some more of those are, in process, people investigating that, what they need to do. The zoning question of setbacks, on Atwood Road is, still up in the air. I contacted the attorney and I have not gotten a verdict or, any, advice back from them on that, which way we should go. Then there's the one that was previously, in this meeting had brought up, the Harrises, that I did go there. I talked to Donna yesterday, and we talked about it, and I think I heard Dave ask that, if there's any citations to be involved, that they could be held till after the next meeting. I don't wanna do anything illegal. I don't want anybody coming back on me later and saying, oh, you can't do that because you don't have the right to do that. And I get a little gun shy now with, it's a feeling of, we're watching you, you better do it right. I'm gonna act as I think I should act as a zoning administrator. I know I do have discretion, I know I've got that. I don't have a problem with putting that situation in limbo for a few weeks. First of all, I don't think it's really fair in a situation like that where one half of this residence needs to be vacated. I think we can have a little bit more compassion on the people that are living there to not get thrown out, but there has to be some limits on what we can do. But so, in response to that, I don't have a problem with waiting till after the next meeting to move forward. Because as I did tell Donna, it's gotta be rectified, it has to be brought into compliance, it does. I have not wavered on that. They're just gonna have to figure out how they can do that. And I suggested that, that may very well have to happen, and that their course of action might be to come tonight, or to bring it to the planning commission as Dave and they have put the letter in, to get it on an agenda, so that you guys can discuss it, this whole concept of two-family housing in districts other than R1 and Village. That particular home is in CR. So that's what's gonna fall on your plate, is if you wanna start thinking about that ahead of time. Is that something that you think is good for the township, is needed for the township? Do we need to amend our zoning? Zoning isn't set in concrete. Nobody took a chisel and a hammer and pounded it out of granite, right? They didn't come down from Mount Sinai. So, it's there to be amended as the community grows and the needs, whatever needs are there. But that's a decision for you guys to deal with, not me. I have to, as I said to Donna in this case, and even with the situation on Atwood Road, I didn't write it. I've had plenty of time in my career where I've been on the other end, and I've had someone else say, Mr. Facilities Director, you gotta do this, and they say, I didn't write it. So it's nothing personal in any case, but if you're gonna have zoning, you gotta do the whole thing. And, anyway, to circle back on that, I don't have a problem with waiting a few weeks, so long as the board or the planning commission doesn't have an issue with that. I just wanna put that out front. I'm not doing any favors, okay, just to do a favor.
Understood.
I'm trying to be reasonable, so, I guess that's all I got to say.
I don't know that we have a history of jumping right to citations on any zoning violations that I've ever witnessed in the
And I
12 years of
haven't-
being on the board.
And I have not either in 4 years. So
I
I'm
don't-
just saying that, again, I don't wanna get held to some standard that we haven't been doing.
Yep.
Okay?
Okay. Richard, our board rep, any highlights from the township board meeting you'd like to share?
Sure. Cemetery improvements are something we're continuing to work on. One of the most, I think, significant, exciting things is this software that we are getting to, digitize all of our cemeteries. And we're moving ahead on that. Park improvements, we're continuing to do some things on the township parks. Cemetery headstone restoration, we finally decided not to do anything with the downstate company that has done some things for a few years. We're putting that on pause for this year, but we did decide we will probably move ahead with it again next year in a different focused way. Nothing new on the CSX Railway property. Still working on some of the background. It really probably centers mainly on trying to determine what would be the situation with environmental contamination before we get too far into that. Planning Commission, we approved the additional budget request of money that it's going to take for Beckett and Rader to finish up the master plan that this board is working on. Roads are continuing to be a big thing. As you all know already, we're definitely spending most of the annual road budget on fixing Bridge Street or 6 Mile Lake Road out to the county line. And we are still in discussions. I think maybe the village, they had a meeting last night, and pending what they decided, it's on our agenda again for next week, I should say, still haven't lost hope at the possibility of extending that into the village limits now and all the way down to the bridge, not to include the bridge at this time. Essex Road, we're still very hopeful. Marv Rubing has been in contact with our state representative and state senator, very hopeful that maybe before the end of this month we'll know something significant about the possibility of a $3 million grant from the state that would take care of the entire reconstruction of Essex Road. I'd say that's it.
Okay. Thank you. Okay, and now Ruben, our planning consultant. Now, I should back up and say, some of you got these blue meeting minutes and some of you didn't. I don't think you did. And that was my fault. I was working from 3 different devices and some didn't come through, so I apologize. So I will read, so we all have the same information. And Ruben will provide clarification on the budget agreement with Township before completing final layout. And what else would you like to say about that?
Yeah, that's really the main thing from the planning side, is we've been working with the Township Board closely on finalizing budget arrangement to finish up the master plan. The entire master plan is drafted, and the content, including all the text and maps, is together at this point with input from you all. But the main remaining step is to do the layout, and that's an important part of making sure when the plan's printed and available online that all the maps are really legible and that all the text is laid out in a way so that it accompanies the maps, and it's evident kind of what goes with what in the document itself. So our plan is to do that through a software called InDesign. It'll just make the final plan look very nice. It is the same software that the township's existing plan from 2019 was laid out in. So it's really just a redo of that. So it sounds like the board has come to an agreement and passed a motion to approve that final amount that we quoted. So that will include that layout of the document, and then any some last work that we'll do as part of the public review and adoption process. We'll send notices out to all the adjacent communities surrounding Banks Township, the county, and then some other agencies that are required by state statute to get notice that the plan is available for review once you all have had a final look at it, and then take it through the adoption process. So I'm glad to provide some more detail on that when we get to that agenda item, but it sounds like the board has come to an agreement that the township's comfortable with that final amount that we quoted for the final steps there. And if that all sounds okay this evening, then I think our plan will be to finalize and lay out the document and bring it back to you all to authorize that review period in September. So that's where we stand with the master plan. Nearing completion there. As far as other agenda items, we have the sand and gravel ordinance. We've communicated with the township attorney and sent that off. This is the township's existing adopted sand and gravel ordinance that is on the books today for legal review. Catherine Kaufman, the township's attorney, acknowledged that she's going to undertake that work and conduct legal review for any for compliance with case law and any other sort of legal thresholds there. We haven't heard anything back to date, but she has that ordinance and is reviewing it. And then I know we have maybe a couple of other items to touch on with the sand and gravel ordinance, which we'll get to, I think, later in the agenda. They're looking at whether the township wants to take on a full kind of rewrite and reassessment of the ordinance there. So there'll be some more detail there, and then I know we're aware that there's some discussion too about taking a look at setbacks in residential and non-residential districts. So that's further down the agenda tonight. We'll take a look at that and have some discussion there too. So I think that's just a quick summary of everything from the planning side there.
Okay, thank you. Well, you know more than I do. I didn't know if the board had granted approval for that expenditure. So I'm glad that there was some agreement, or they found some documents stating that it was okay to move forward. There was a written agreement apparently, or maybe a verbal agreement that was in question.
Yes, yes, so there was some debate. I know that there was some discussion whether we had a not to exceed amount for the plan, or whether we had agreed to do it hourly, and our understanding that was that it was going to be billed hourly, and that's what it has been, I think, to this point. But we agreed on a final amount of that the board took a look at to finish it up from here. And so, to my understanding, that's what the board approved back in July. And yeah, I'm glad to subject, like you said, Patty, finding that there wasn't any other information in the comments area. So.
Okay, super.
Actually, what the board, I just checked back to refresh my memory. There was some people thought that there was some agreement that it wasn't supposed to exceed $10,000. So there was a motion made to go ahead with the additional $4,000. that they're requesting contingent upon verifying that there wasn't some written agreement somewhere. And I haven't heard anything about that, so I'm assuming that, so I'm not sure. I'm assuming they didn't find anything, but it was passed either way. It was passed contingent. Obviously, if you haven't heard from someone on the board saying, we found this document, so please do it for the previously agreed upon amount, I would assume that that's not there, but I better make that clear that that's what the motion was.
Right, correct.
Okay, perhaps in that case,
If nobody's communicated clearly with you, maybe I should backpedal just a little bit, and somebody from the board needs to communicate clearly with you.
Was there not a written contract done?
We didn't have a contract for a not to exceed amount or anything. We've looked in our files and haven't seen anything of that nature, but in that case, maybe I'll communicate with Supervisor Busman, and we'll see if the township is able to find anything.
I guess that would be my question, is why there wasn't a contract that clearly spelled that out, whether it was one or the other, and that's generally how business is done.
Yeah, so, I know I was in the email loop with you and Alex regarding the motion that was made, and I hadn't seen confirmation that there was no one found that agreement, no one found a contract or so forth, so I'll follow up on that,
Okay, that
Yeah.
sounds great.
because we would love to.
Yeah, just having confirmation of that,
Yeah.
That there wasn't any other written agreement found.
Okay.
Sounds like a good next step, so we can work on to determine that.
Okay. Very good, thank you, Ruben. All right, and now, I'm gonna read this, under unfinished business is completion of master plan, and I'll determine whether the contract was verbal or written and verify that one way or another. So that's finished business A of completion of master plan. And then unfinished business B, revision of sand and gravel ordinance. The planning commission members were sent, a rough first draft. But let me back up here and say, in our June 16th board meeting, a motion was made by Alex Bushman to have the planning commission create a new soil extraction ordinance in conjunction with Beckett and Rader and township attorneys as necessary, that is less restrictive than the current ordinance, but still has township protections in place and is in compliance with the Zoning Enabling Act. Support by Julie Cello's motion carried. So, knowing that Ruben had communicated with Catherine Kaufman, our attorney, sent her the background on what had been done, sent her the approved sand and gravel ordinance. It was approved in November 2024, and that's likely sitting on her desk waiting to be reviewed. So I took the time to, so here's what I wrote to the planning commission. Including in the meeting packet, please find a first draft of a natural resource extraction ordinance. Ruben sent the ordinance adopted in November 2024 and a summary of the background and the board's request to Catherine Kaufman, our new attorney for the legal review. She has acknowledged the request. In the meantime, I have reviewed many Michigan Township sand and gravel ordinances that were available online. And I took the initiative here. I took the 3 ordinances that we have and blended them together. The 3 I used were the old township ordinance, our old one that was not in compliance with the Michigan Zoning Enabling Act. I took this one that was handed out tonight, or handed out at our last meeting. This SB 431, I took that one, and then I also took the new one that was approved, and I kind of picked elements of them and blended them together, and what you have before you is an amalgamation of those. My goal, it's a starting point. My goal was to make the barriers to entry less burdensome while still offering protections for property owners, Banks Township, and hopefully be in compliance with the Michigan Zoning Enabling Act. And that, of course, can only be determined by our township attorney. So, if you have had an opportunity to look at the first draft, I would love any discussion that you have to report back. I can tell you that on this SB 431, I looked back in the Michigan Township Association and found an article there from 2020 urging members, of which we are, Michigan Township Association, not to be in support of that. And from what I could discern, it was because it didn't give township boards enough local control. So bearing that in mind, I think there is, in this first draft that I put together, I think there is sufficient local control. The other aspect about this particular first draft is that, again, it puts the onus not on us. All we do is review application and look for its completeness. And of course, there's criteria there. And then it goes to the township board, after the public hearing, it will go to the township board for approval. We would not be granting approval to anyone who's submitting a special use permit for such a thing. So, with that background, I open the floor for discussion. And any questions you may have.
I was unable to open it on my end, but that was, like I said, the last meeting, my only concern is making it understandable and not putting so much emphasis on the neighbor's rights more so than the property owner's rights. That's what I keep hearing. But for me, it's being able to read it and understand it. But again, I couldn't open whatever.
Okay, I sent Julie one, she wasn't able to open it either.
I haven't, I came straight from work and the school board meeting.
On my PC, I read it last night, and I thought
Okay.
that it read very similar to our existing one that we adopted, which is kind of where I wondered where it came from. But I thought it was pretty well up and simple to read, just as simple as the rest of our, zoning, using that term simple.
Okay. Yes, you're not supposed to have a lot of definitions, and it's not supposed to be unreadable. The average person is supposed to be able to read it. I think that was in there. So how can I help you review this? What can I guess,
Is there any way we can make copies of what somebody knows?
Tina, do you have an ability to do
Ah,
that?
Tina, I can do that.
Wonky, but it did come out okay on the PC.
And I didn't think of that.
And Ruben, did you have a chance to review that? And I would be interested in any comments that you have.
Yes, I was able to open the documents. I have maybe just a few preliminary observations, if you'd like me to share them. First, just that it's as I think you all have stated, it's a very much reduced ordinance in terms of the length. It's much more easy to understand. A lot of the legalese is taken out. This process is very much streamlined, so it's kept at Planning Commission recommendation for a sand and gravel proposal that you all might have, and then board approval, so it's not unlike a lot of the other special uses that are called out specifically in the ordinance. So it's a much more streamlined application process. One of the things to note there is how this might align with the adopted police power ordinance that is outside of the zoning ordinance. So that's another ordinance that was adopted back in November of 2024 and requires an applicant to not only go through the zoning ordinance process, but also then apply for approval under the police power ordinance outside of zoning and land use specifically. So That requires another set of public hearings, so something to think about. And also the two ordinances sort of reference each other, the existing zoning ordinance that you have, that the township has adopted, and that police power ordinance. So whether repealing that police power ordinance would be part of the proposal here, or whether amending it to align more with this new ordinance would be something to think about. If the board was interested in sort of moving forward with this draft. There's some language in there about financial assurances that reclamation would be undertaken. There's some other language about a reclamation plan that would need to be submitted by an applicant when they file an application. In this new draft, I would be interested, if you all want to move forward with this draft, I think a next step could be to take a closer look at how burdensome all of that language is compared to other zoning ordinances, and we could do a little bit of comparing and contrasting there. My initial reaction is that the language in this draft is much more high level and not as specific as what a lot of communities do have. So it's something to think about. I think, to my awareness, a lot of other communities would require much more detailed information than is spelled out in this draft. So I'm glad to take a closer look at that as sort of the next step if you all want to do that. And then there's some language in there about very serious consequences would not result from an application. And I think similar kind of note here that this is higher level language than exists in other zoning ordinances in Michigan that regulate sand and gravel. It's not as specific as to what the commission would use to judge the impacts of very serious consequences. But I'm glad to take a close look at how detailed the language is here in comparison to other communities. If you all feel like you want to move forward with this draft and take a close look at that as the next step. I didn't take a very close, highly detailed look at this for this meeting, but would be glad to take a look at it if you all would like to. I think those are some of my preliminary observations. Yeah, just to summarize, it's much simplified and streamlined in terms of the language and the process from what exists. Thinking about how this aligns with the police power ordinance and whether it involves a repeal of that or not, something to think about. I'll say a lot of communities that do regulate something like sand and gravel in their zoning ordinance choose to have that in the zoning or as a police power ordinance, but not both often. And so having it in one place makes the process a lot more streamlined. Could be a good goal. And then taking a close look at the very serious consequences language and some of the language about reclamation and the detail that would need to be provided in reclamation plans would be something to think about as a next step there.
Okay.
And just to be clear, this has not been reviewed by the township attorney today. So we are certainly, we all of the understanding this isn't anything we wanna move forward with until they take a look and then provide their recommendations on how to move forward. I guess that would be my question to everyone, because we put that act in motion, and that would probably be something that we want to have them review along with what you have reviewed as well.
They haven't even reviewed our existing ordinance.
Is it something we could give to the attorney with the other one to look at both of them?
I guess I have a question. Weren't they the one that at one point made a comment that the existing one was too strict and that's why we had talked to them? Because that was what I had remembered from our conversation from last month. So at one point they had reviewed it, and I'm just asking that if we're gonna have a united front and continue along the same path, do we not wanna have them review this and see where we would like to go from here collectively? Just thinking out loud.
Like if they need to add anything more to this, or what they would change to this,
I
or,
mean, yeah, exactly, that's what they're there to do, in my opinion. So let's see what they're gonna come with, and then as a board, we can collectively have a conversation whether we feel it's not strict enough, or it's still too strict, or find the ground where we're prepared to move forward in some sort of action, as opposed to, you know what I mean? Ruben, you had mentioned moving forward with something, and to me, I would be hesitant to move forward until we at least see a review and some notes from the lawyer. That's obviously what we pay them for as a township.
What do you guys think about that?
Yeah, I would agree. I would appreciate your work in doing this, Patty, and I think it's a
Yes, thank you.
great effort, and I think that's a good next step.
Okay. I'm in complete agreement. I didn't want to, I wanted to have it be pretty complete before we burned up lawyer money. And I'm maybe not of the right mindset there because,
I think you're in the right path.
yeah,
we
And
either burn
Ruben's-
it up now or burn it up later.
And Ruben's information that he had, or how you think that this could be tweaked, maybe even before it goes
to the lawyer.
to the lawyer.
That would be my suggestion. If we could get more, you want more granular information on reclamation and how it aligns with police powers, or do we repeal police powers? And the very serious consequences language, you want to be more granular there. Is that correct?
Yeah, I think for next time, I think it might be helpful to have a little bit more policy discussion from you all in comparison with examples on, it sounds like there's a balance that the township wants to find between, you know, providing a good amount of detail that, on those things like reclamation and, you know, very serious consequences to mitigate harms, but while not making it overly burdensome. So it sounds like, to me, it would be helpful to compare this draft with, what you have on the books and some other ordinances that exist, to just get a sense of how other communities are like striking that balance before sending it to the attorney as something final. So if it would be helpful, I could put together a few examples as a point of comparison for you all to think about next time.
I would find that helpful, certainly. Yeah, before we move forward. I just opened the search bar and, you know, that's what I did. I know you probably have access to greater or more township ordinances. I even tried to find some from out of state, not just as a, am I on the right track kind of thing, so. I would find that helpful, and then, so next time we could review that, you would have a good, a better understanding of what this says, and you can make notes regarding this, and then compare, and then we could maybe then ask the attorney to, and any input that we may have in our attorney on how to, where to go. Does that sound reasonable? Okay. Okay, very good. All right, and that's all there was under unfinished business or old business. Under new business, I put review setbacks, and Richard, I'm gonna kind of defer to you. We had, at the July Township Board meeting, a motion was made by Mark Rubin to ask the Planning Commission to review setbacks for the possibility of reducing or eliminating them. Support by Richard Frisky, motion carried. Richard Frisky, yes. Mark Rubin, yes. Alex Bushman, no. Julie Chalice, yes. Katie Postmas, yes. So you have in your meeting packet current setbacks. Before we get too deep into the weeds, I maybe would start by asking Richard, what specifically, I guess we have seven zones. Is there a zone in particular you would like us to review setbacks on? There's ag, CR, low-density residential, mobile home district, village manufacturing, and village manufacturing.
No, I think we should consider eliminating any setbacks beyond the road right-of-ways, but I understand that it only affects generally front lines. So I don't have any clear opinion or strong leaning on any of the other sideline, side lot lines, etc. So those should be discussed. But I think that the road right-of-ways are wide enough in all districts that we should eliminate any additional. Curtis, am I correct in saying that those would only pretty much be front setbacks then? If we're just dealing with the road right-of-way?
Yeah, primarily. I mean, there might be an exception here if you got.
If it's on waterfront, it might be a back.
Yeah, that's your,
Well,
that
okay, so
changes
where
the game.
road right-of-ways exist, there should be no additional setbacks, that's what I
see,
would say.
yeah, so if you got lake frontage, we'll just use Lake Shore Drive as an example, because that's where, you know, we've got a lot going on there. Those people, their front setback is from the water,
Right.
and that's 50 feet from the ordinary high water mark. I don't think you wanna change that. I mean, unless you want people creeping up right to the edge of the shore, and I don't think you want that. I would leave that, I'm just throwing out suggestions, it's your call, but, I'd leave that alone. The issue becomes, in the case of someone that wanted to build a garage, if it's gonna get too close to the garage, and there wasn't enough setback from the road right of way to fit that in, that was a rear setback technically, in that case. Most of the rest of them are front setbacks, because most people, the front is the road
Right.
side.
Right.
So, you might have to, if you choose to go that route and either lessen them or get rid of them when it comes, in regards to a road right of way, maybe you'll do that. Maybe you'll just say, if it's a front or a back, or a front or a rear, if it's involved with the road, if the road right of way is the definer, then you wanna be able to go up to that, maybe you'll do that. But I'd be real careful about side setbacks. I mean, those are pretty, the village, or in the village, they're, what is it, 5 or 10? 5 in the village, I think. I think residential's 10. I mean, those are already there, but you need some kind of a buffer, or you're gonna have neighbor problems, and then they're gonna call me.
How I took it from the township meeting was that it was the road setback was what got brought to the board, that was the issue, that was.
That
the
one
problem.
was, yeah.
That's how I took
Yeah.
it as what the word
So,
was.
you know, the rears, I don't think the rears are really an issue, especially if the rear is a lakefront thing, and you put the caveat in there, or the exception in there, that if it's the road right of way, that's the concern, that you can negate that, you can go up to the road right of way. Somehow you'd wanna put that in your, as a, like on that chart of the schedules,
Yeah.
you know, you just put a letter J or whatever the next one is, you know, in regard to the different zones. To show the exception of it being, you know, if it's a rear right-of-way situation.
Was there a reason that the township adopted a greater setback than what the road setback was?
I don't know, that was done, who knows, Lord knows when that was set up. When zoning was put in, I guess, when that schedule of regulations went in.
It was probably just a boilerplate adoption of a lot of things that's never been.
Well,
Yeah,
the
and
problem I see was with McCanowitz, he's telling him, he's getting told he can't do any improvements to his house because it's in the setback now.
Well, because he's not conforming to the zoning, so let's make sure we got the verbiage right.
I understand that, but I don't see, from what I looked at, reviewed, is if this goes, if push comes to shove, I don't think you can set zoning for an existing house and tell him he can't fix his house anymore. You're ultimately telling him his house is worthless if he can't do any upgrades to
We're
it.
not saying that at all. We're saying, don't forget, this situation, had a building permit been applied for with the county, which, if you're building something attached to your house, the county wants to know about it. Frank's not here to say that, but Frank would be nodding his head right now.
I'm familiar with that.
Okay, So, then the county has their policy of, we're not giving you one until you clear it with the township. And at that point, it would have come back to me, and we would have talked about it, and we would have caught this before it was ever an issue. Okay?
Right, but
So,
ultimately his house is in that setback.
he's non-conforming. There's a lot of places that are non-conforming. Their houses aren't worthless. You just can't enhance the non-conforming.
Increase the footprint.
Right, but now, and I may have been informed wrong, correct me if I'm wrong, but you got told like to do any, if the siding were to, you need to replace that
No,
siding.
that's not true.
Is that's what he was conveying, so, that any improvements like to replace.
Anything that would enhance the.
I'm telling what I got told by, so that's what I'm asking, to clarify.
I don't know what you got told by, but whatever. The fact of the matter is, if the porch, even if the porch had been rebuilt to as it was originally when it was put in, we probably wouldn't even have this problem. But it got enlarged, so I'll go back to what I said earlier. I don't write the rules, you know, but if you're gonna change it, either that or tell me I don't have to do this. You guys give me a blank check, says, in this case, you don't have to. We'll look the other way on this one. Good luck with that. So, if, in my opinion, where this is gonna finally wash out, I'm guessing that you guys, this commission, is gonna look at front setbacks and is gonna decide that they're excessive to whatever that degree is. You're either going to lessen them, in the case of ag, and the ag setback on the front is 35 feet. Maybe you'll say, if you don't wanna go all the way to the road right away, maybe you'll say, how about 10 feet from the road? I don't know where you're gonna land on it, but I'm guessing you're gonna land somewhere. And that's gonna fix some of these issues. Or I should say, some of these issues will just go away because they will no longer be a problem. I'm guessing that's, and then when you guys send that up to the township board, I'm pretty sure that there's gonna be sure, we're good with that. But that's not my call.
I really think, I would support, I'd be ready to make a motion that we the only change we make to setbacks are eliminate any setbacks that exceed road right of ways.
Then it becomes a county problem,
Yeah. If somebody wants to build up to the road right of way,
That's
I believe they're all adequate. I think
Can I
they're.
ask a question?
Sure.
That's my question. Isn't the township setbacks, Kurt, I'm sorry, the same as the counties? Even if we eliminate ours, doesn't
No,
the
these
county
are-
also be over and above road setbacks? Does the county have setbacks as well?
No, I don't believe the county has.
They don't, okay, I thought they
They
did.
do. That's
Just
up
the
to
county,
township to
the
decide.
county road commission has setbacks on all county roads. They vary by how major the road is. 31 in some places is 75 feet from the center line. A lot of the little local roads, I think, are 35 feet maybe? 33 feet.
66 foot.
So, and it varies, but the Atwood Road is probably
66.
33.
Now, there will be those, since you're thinking about what you might wanna do. Atwood Road, Essex Road, those are main thoroughfares in there. And as I said at Alex's house, Jim Veenster's old place, and I see the people come off the highway and drop the hammer, and they're doing 70 by the time they get down the hill in front of his place. There's a lot of people who go really fast on those roads. If you're right up to the edge of that, and you got a garage built there and somebody loses it, you're probably gonna hit it. Who knows, that's a hypothetical. But there are those, I'm sure, in the township who would say, maybe you don't wanna get rid of them all the way, or at least on those busy roads you don't. But if you start doing that, you're gonna say, well, this road's worth it, you can do it in this road, you can't do it, don't go there either.
Has there anything been explored, sorry to interrupt you, whether it's a class A road, a secondary road, or something along those lines to
But
separate the two?
that's not delineated, that's, and I would encourage you to not get too complicated with this. It's, it's tough enough people calling and asking, hey, what can I do here, what do I need to do? Well, why can they do it and I can't? Well,
Do you
because
know-
they're a class A road, what does that mean?
I should know this, but I'm not sure. So do you know, is the setback the same on Doctor Road as Atwood Road?
They're both county roads, I believe, Yeah.
Okay.
No, US, the 31's different.
Right.
That's 150 in your area, but I've also heard that, and I haven't seen a map on it, but I've also heard that 31 has a 100-foot set, or a 100-foot right of way. So that would be a 50-foot in certain parts of it. I don't know where that is. But
So we passed a motion that there's no more setbacks
Only
on the.
That
on the-
exceed
on the-
road
on the
right-of-ways.
Road right-of-ways. It's up to you to know what those differences are,
oh, yeah, well, I
Yeah.
will.
and what 31, because it's just gonna say the road right-of-way, because there's a difference on 31, there is a difference on.
Well, he's gotta know that anyway already, because now our setback
But
is
he's
in
not
addition
sure
to the
right
road
now.
right, well,
So
he's,
it'd have to
he's
be-
gotta be.
It'd have to be, up to date on what those are.
Right.
Well, I'll write the state and have them send me a copy of what it is on, in Banks Township. I'm sure they'll be very eager to supply me that information.
And is it different in the village of 31 than it is outside the village of 31?
I don't know. If you want me to, I'll contact the state and say, hey, or I'll talk to Bert. Maybe Bert will know if he has to deal with the state on the highway. I'll talk to Bert.
'Cause
I'll get myself educated on road right.
But he has to know that anyway, because right now, it's X number of feet from the road right of way, so he would still have to know what the road right of way is.
And I know,
Issue
and I
a
do
permit.
on most roads, because most everything is built on a county road, and that's 66 feet, and I know that.
Ruben, you wanna weigh in here?
Yeah, if I could just jump in, I think I definitely agree with Curtis's point here that, I think this came up in previous meetings because there's discussion about, there are certain areas of the township with non-conforming buildings with setbacks that aren't allowing certain property owners to do things that might be expected to do, like reconstruct a porch, or, I think I took a look earlier this week, like we mentioned last time, there's some areas like along Lakeshore Drive, it's in the CR district where the setbacks do take up quite a bit of the lot. The lots are much smaller in that particular area along, say, Lakeshore Drive, than the rest of the CR district, and so the setbacks are like very limiting in that area. So there are definitely certain areas like that, within the township that it might take a look, it might be good to take a look at those specific setbacks in those areas. And so we can communicate, if that all sounds like the right approach, we can communicate to take a look at what those areas are. But I would say simultaneously, removing front setbacks entirely from the zoning ordinance would be unusual for a township like Banks Township to allow people to build right up to the right of way. There are some, I think like Curtis mentioned, potentially safety concerns. There's some maybe visual aspects of the township, the way it's developed historically, where buildings are certainly set back from the right of way by 20 or 30 feet. That those rules are in place to make sure they continue in the future. So, to my knowledge, it would be unusual to eliminate front setbacks entirely from all districts, but maybe kind of right-sizing them and calling out specific areas where the township wants to open up more of the lot could be a good goal.
Also, the fence, under the fence ordinance, you gotta stop 5 feet short of the right of way, because it's a vision thing. That says it right in there. So there's a case where you gotta be back on your fence from 5 feet. Now, maybe it's okay to put your garage right up on there, but you gotta have your fence 5 feet back. Understand what you're creating there. I don't care. I really don't care. Whatever you guys wanna do, I don't care.
All right. Any further discussion?
Would 20 foot take care of the two problems that we have?
I'd have to remeasure on the porch. I think it would.
Because that's the village,
I think it barely, it would.
front setback. And that's where you're talking higher volume traffic, the stuff that you're concerned
Oh,
about.
the village
visibility.
setback is less.
Right,
Yeah, in the village.
so,
Yeah, maybe you take them all to that, I don't know. You got a lot of options here,
I mean, if you wanna build up to the road,
I don't, yeah, if you.
That's up to you.
Yeah,
I mean, you want your
I
garage
think-
right next to the road.
Tyler and I
Your garage
both
right next
got
to the road,
property
it's
on
not a big
31
deal,
that's
right?
right next to the road.
Yeah,
and-
it's your own it's your own choice. If you wanna put yourself in danger at that point, unfortunately, that's you, I mean, you certainly can do that. Not something I would ever do, but, and,
But some people, their property, how it lays, that might be the only option.
and that's kinda, especially in Lake Shore and the two instances that we have, I mean, the way we currently have it, it's in addition to the right of way. Is that correct?
Mhm.
So you're, you know, if you kind of look at it and someone that has a lot that's only 200 feet, you know, from front to back, and you have 33 feet plus your 50 feet, I mean, you're encroaching on what those people essentially can do with that entire area. So I collectively, and I kind of like where Dave had it going, what are our two options that we have? If we're not gonna be exploring variances for these two particular instances, what is it that we find is, it's up to you, but, you know, if you wanna go that close.
I guess my say is you just go to the road right away, eliminate the township's additional and just go by the road commission's.
Is there any other instance like, you 5 feet your fence, are there anything in the ordinance that we have that we might wanna be cognizant of with whether it is in regards to fencing or garages or something along those lines?
Garages are structures, it's all the same, garage, house, doesn't, pole barn, they're all governed by the same as far as the setback. No, the fence is the only exception, I'm just saying that, you know, there's a reason there's a 5-foot setback on a fence that's 6 foot high, so that, you know, if somebody's poking their nose out and getting clobbered.
Well, but that wouldn't pertain to a straight roadway though.
Not all of them are straight.
No, but I'm saying that's a corner,
Yep.
but.
I'm in agreement with Dave on this, if we make them 20 and that's what we have for the village and it's continuous and that handles both of our situations right here. I'm in agreement with that.
Well, there's a motion on the floor,
Yeah.
so.
Yeah, I move that we eliminate, that wherever there is a county right-of-way, that we do not exceed that right-of-way, or we eliminate setbacks
Roads.
wherever there is a road right-of-way, and just go with the road right-of-way. Keep it really simple.
Okay,
So, that's my motion.
I second.
second, all right, all in favor, or should we do a roll call vote?
Yeah.
Roll call
Any
vote.
further discussion?
Any further discussion?
We've discussed it quite a bit.
If I could chime in, this would be like a formal motion to propose amending the zoning ordinance is my kind of understanding of where this is going, so that would be a regulatory change, and so I think the next step would be to adopt or draft a new,
Ordinance.
an amended version of that ordinance and then bring it back for
Okay.
consideration next time, and I do think it would have to go for a public hearing as a
Oh,
formal amendment to
okay.
the ordinance.
Okay, but I still need to take a vote. So we amend the ordinance.
If there isn't a formal motion, I don't think, to amend the ordinance tonight, it's more of a
Okay.
suggestion. We
Okay.
can bring something back next time that would be more of a formal amendment.
Okay, and this does require a public hearing?
It would.
Okay, good discussion. Further discussion?
You need to withdraw your motion?
Well, I don't know, it seems like if we
It's already
could just
seconded.
vote on it, and if there's not enough support for it on this board, then we don't even need to go that far. So we ought to find out if we have a majority here to support that concept, don't we?
Should you amend your motion? To
Okay,
draw up an amended ordinance?
Motion to amend the ordinance to eliminate all.
So you make the motion to, ask Beckett and Rader to amend the ordinance to do what you wanna do. And then if there's 3 votes, then he does that, you come back and review it. And then if there's a motion to send that to a public hearing, you do that at the next step.
Okay, good, thank you. It's
Thank
my
you
first time
for
on this board. That's
clarification.
what I'd like to do. I'd like to move that we have Beckett and Rader amend the ordinance to eliminate, or start the process, amend the ordinance to eliminate setbacks that exceed the road
County road
right-of-ways.
right way.
All road right-of-ways,
All?
right. Right, yes. Because if it isn't, then you wouldn't be changing it like for the US 31, which I don't think, that's a huge right-of-way already, we don't need it any wider for sure
Right.
there.
Right. Okay, so there's the motion, and do I hear,
Yeah, I suppose it.
okay, support by Trav, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
No.
And Dave, are you, I'm sorry?
I'm a nay.
You're a no? Okay. All right, so now this goes to, if you, we would help, we would create language to amend our ordinance, okay? Cause I believe motion carried. I'm sorry, I didn't hear you.
I was aye.
Okay. So motion carried, and we will look at amending our ordinance, and we will take that up next month. Next month.
I still think Richard needs to withdraw his first, motion. to
Okay.
just-
Oh, God, yes, I don't want two motions, so I do withdraw the first motion. Thanks for the help in
Mhm.
drafting the motion properly.
All right. Good discussion. All right, we're at the point in our meeting where we will take public comment. Nancy?
Hi, thank you. Thank you for the copy of this is what you drafted as.
It is a first draft, only a draft.
I have to say, I'm a little disappointed in 2.5 pages. So a couple years ago, the commission was reviewing the ordinance and settled on, after a lot of research, was suggested that they review the Metamora ordinance because it was well-written. It protected the businesses and the communities, business owners that wanted to do soil protection, and it withstood legal challenges, which is really important. And it was 17, 18 pages. I read it. I don't think I'm overly astute, but I found it easy to read and understand, and it had protections in place, and I was relieved to see that. So to go from 17, 18 pages to 2.5, and I know it's like, well, provide details, this is very subjective. What is a detailed statement? Is it 2 sentences, 50 words, or is it more detailed than that? So I just sincerely hope that with Ruben's help, we get back to that detailed information. You have to protect the neighbors. You have to find, you just have to check the impact this is gonna have on the roads. It's just disturbing. I mean, yes, maybe a first grader could read this, but that's not the intent of an ordinance that's so important and so critical to protecting this beautiful township that we have. Thank you.
Thank you, Nancy. Any other public comment? Okay, with that, I would take a motion to adjourn the meeting.
I'll make that motion.
Second, meeting adjourned. We will meet again September 9th, 6 p.m. Thank you, everyone.
Sorry I was late for the school board meeting.
That's okay.